What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 47, Sean Strickland, Jack Hermanson.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back after a week off. Looking forward to getting right back into it with a very fun card here, and can't wait to break it down from a DFS perspective. Before we get started and get into everything, if you guys can please leave a like on the video. Also subscribe to the channel if you have not already. If you do want extra content, some DFS content, sign up at dfsbythenumbers.com. $10 a month, you get the access to my MMA model with all the stats, my MMA lineup optimizer, my DFS articles, my premium projections, access to Discord, GPP lineup percentages, targets and rankings, and much, much more. Check it out, dfsbythenumbers.com. All right, I say we get right into the video. No time to waste here. We'll start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines as always. And up top, we have Marquez going against Almeida, minus 300. Fight doesn't go to decision. And that line was actually like minus 420 earlier in the week, and it is closed a little bit. I still think this fight has a very good chance of finishing inside the distance. Almeida has a 100% finish rate. He's 9,400, and he has never won a fight over the 1.5 round mark. So I do expect Almeida to come in here and get it done fairly quickly within the first 2 rounds here. And yeah, I like Almeida quite a bit, 9,400. We'll talk about him more as far as Marquez in terms of a pump play, 6,800. I think he could be worth some sprinkles. He is a dangerous fighter in his own right. I don't really like him to win this matchup, but he does have an 81% finish rate. I think he's finished maybe all but one of his wins, so I think he's definitely in play. There are some question marks about Almeida. We don't know a ton about him, not a ton of tape available, and Marquez has fought the better competition. He has 3 UFC fights, so I do think there's some merit for some sprinkles of Marquez as a dog, because if he does win, maybe he's able to implement his wrestling-heavy game plan that he has done in the past against Mike Rodriguez and Khadisi Ibragimov. I just don't think Almeida is either Mike Rodriguez or Khadisi Ibragimov. So I personally think Almeida, smashes Marquez here, and I'll have a ton of Almeida there. Harris, Rachmanov, minus 215. Fight doesn't go to decision. And there's also a lot of money coming in on the fight goes and the overs in this fight as well. And, I don't necessarily get it, really. I think this fight has a really good chance of finishing inside the distance. Both guys are very, very dangerous. And they're combined 4 UFC fights. All 4 of them have ended inside the distance. And we take a look at Rachmanov, 14 professional fights. He has undefeated 14-0, a 100% finish rate. So he's never won by decision, and he has never lost by decision. He's never seen the judges' scorecards. And I don't really think that changes here. Carlson Harris, he's shown how dangerous he is thus far in the UFC, with back-to-back finished wins in the first round. He hurt Aguilera bad in that first round, submitted him, and then also in the Impa fight, he knocked out Impa Kasaganay in the first round as well. So he's shown a ton of power, and he also has a very sneaky submission game. Carlson Harris, a 58% finish rate. So I think this fight does have a good chance of finishing inside the distance, and I do like both sides. I do think these salaries are kind of nuts, to be honest. Like Rachmanov, 9,000, Harris, 7,200. I think Harris does have a much better chance than the line is given credit for. So I will be playing both sides here, and I do like both sides for DraftKings plays. As far as like a preferred side, maybe Harris at 7,200. Like that's a very intriguing price tag there, but I will have my fair share of Shafkat. The dude is at 100% finish rate, and he's an absolute beast. Witt, Rowe, minus 185. Fight doesn't go to decision. This one's a tricky one because I feel like if there is a finish in this fight, it's going to come from the Philip Rowe side. Jason Witt could potentially finish Rowe. Jason Witt has a 58% finish rate, whereas Phil Rowe has a 100% finish rate. And what's interesting about this is not only does Rowe have a 100% finish rate, but Witt's been finished in 100% of his losses, all 7, 5 by knockout, 2 by submission. I really like this fight. This is probably one of my favorite fights, if not my favorite fight on the entire card, outside of the main event probably, where I really want to target this fight because I see it playing out one of 2 ways. Either Phil Rowe's able to knock out Jason Witt at some point in this fight, or Jason Witt is able to rack up a ton of takedowns, rack up a ton of control points, and win a pretty dominant decision. But, Jason Witt, the knock on him is his chin. His chin's horrible, and Witt does hit very hard. Witt also is going to have a 10.5-inch reach advantage on the feet. So if it is on the feet at any point in time, Witt is in some serious danger. So yeah, I like both sides here. Preferred play is going to be Rowe, but, I think Witt's a very intriguing dog. Definitely a fight I do want to target. Bonder, Gordon, minus 180 fight doesn't go to decision. I'm kind of surprised this is lined at minus 180. I thought it'd be much wider, but kind of the same scenario. Bonder has a 100% finish rate in 19 fights, and Gordon has been finished in 100% of his losses in 5 losses, 4 by knockout, 1 by submission. Gordon probably has pound for pound the worst chin on the card. I think Bonder makes quick work of Gordon. The only concern I have with Bonder is the level of competition. It is very sketcy. His record is very padded, but I really do like what I see from the guy. But again, 100% finish rate. Gordon's been finished in 100% of his losses. Sign me up at 9,100. As far as Malcolm Gordon as a pump play, potentially he is a black belt in BJJ. He is, going to have the better competition by a significant margin, so I'll give him that. But I do think Bonder, gets him out of there quickly, to be honest. All right, core plays. Sean Strickland 8,800. It is hard to ignore the pace that Sean Strickland's going to put on most of his opponents here. He lands 5.45 significant strikes per minute. I think when it's on the feet, he's going to have the advantage. The takedown defense has checked out. We have not seen many people, as of late, really try to test his takedown defense. I think that's going to be tested here, but from what I've seen, his takedown defense does look good. His get-up game does look good. He is either a brown or black belt in BJJ, so if he does get taken down, it's not the end of the world. And I just think on the feet, he's going to put on a crazy pace, rack up a ton of strikes. He's not going to go for takedowns. He's not going to, maybe he gets a knockdown here or there, but I think throughout the course of 5 rounds, with the pace that he does put on, with the volume, I could definitely see it paying off and him finding the optimal lineup at 8,800. As far as Jack Hermanson, we'll talk about him in a little bit, but I will have some Jack Hermanson as well. But Sean Strickland will be my preferred play. I'll have more of him in the main event. I like him to win this fight. Phil Rowe, 8,400. We talked about it a little bit. You cannot deny that he has a good opportunity to finish here. 100% finish rate. Witt's been finished in all of his losses. A 7-loss sample size there, which chin is horrible. And Rowe is a brown belt in BJJ. Rowe is a good grappler, but he's going to want to keep this on the feet. I think that's his easiest path to victory. Keeping this on the feet. If he does get taken down, work his way up, and eventually knock out Jason Witt. He's going to have 3 rounds to do it. I think he's live for a knockout at any point in this fight. I really like Phil Rowe, 8,400. Jailton Almeida, 9,400. Again, a 100% finish rate. And I do not like a lot of the things I see from Marquez in terms of his striking, in terms of he does not like getting hit. I've seen him quit in fights before. Marquez's cardio is very bad. And this guy, Almeida, is an absolute beast. 9,400. Price tag does not scare me away. I think he makes quick work of Marquez here. Gets him out within the first round and a half, 2 rounds. Punahele Soriano, 8,600. I think this is another sneaky fight to target and be pretty high on. Soriano, when he does win, all but one of his wins are coming in that first round. This guy is very dangerous. If Maximov is not able to get this fight down to the mat, Maximov is going to get knocked out. Soriano's power is absolutely legit. There are question marks about the takedown defense of Soriano. On paper, it is 100%, but he's only had to defend 1 takedown. I think that's going to change here. If he is able to defend the takedowns here, I think there's a good chance he gets a knockout, and probably in the first round as well. So Soriano is a play that I really do like, but we'll talk about in a little bit. I don't mind some Maximov, because if Maximov is able to get down Soriano, if he is able to get this fight into the second round, I think he's live as well. But give me that first round knockout upside from Soriano. Getting into our GPP plays here, our tournament plays, Shavkat Rakhmonov, 9,000. I don't love the price tag, but if he wins, it's probably going to score very well. 14 fights, 14 wins, never lost, 100% finish rate. If he does win, there's a good chance that it is going to be inside the distance. So for that reason, I will have a fair share of Rakhmonov, although I do think the price tag between him and Harris should be closer, but it's hard to deny the upside for Shavkat Rakhmonov at 9K. Denise Bonder, he is 9,100. Going to fix it real quick. 9,100. And yeah, this is a play that I'm going to have quite a bit of. I mean, it's more of a fade on Malcolm Gordon. But I really like what I see from Bonder. This guy's striking is decent. He has a ton of power, and his wrestling's very, very good. Malcolm Gordon has not defended a takedown yet in the UFC. I believe he's like 0 for 3 with a 0% takedown defense. I think Bonder can get him down, whether it is a submission, whether it is a TKO. Malcolm Gordon does not like getting hit. Malcolm Gordon tends to quit. And Malcolm Gordon's been finishing all of his losses, and Bonder's finished all of his wins. So I really like Bonder as a tournament play this week. Tresean Gore, 8,300. I'm actually picking the other side, but Gore, if he does win, I do think it'll be by knockout. Gore hits very hard. We've seen it on The Ultimate Fighter where he dropped Urbina like 5 times in that fight. So he definitely has the power. I think he could potentially knock out Battle. If he does, 8,300 seems like a pretty good price tag. And then Julian Erosa, 9,200. When he does win, he's putting on a very hectic pace. He's throwing a lot of strikes. He can grapple, he can wrestle, he can get it down to the mat. His submission game's really good. He lands 5.55 significant strikes per minute. On top of that, Peterson has only been knocked out once. That's my only concern. But Erosa does have an 80% finish rate. So when Erosa's winning, it is typically inside the distance. I think it will be a high-paced fight as a whole. And honestly, I don't hate Steven Peterson as a pump play as well, because Peterson, again, he's lost by decision 8 times. He's only been knocked out once. He's very tough. And I feel like, if Peterson does win, I think it'll be sneaky for one. And then on top of that, Erosa has been finished 5 times by knockout. So the one concern would be the chin of Erosa. Erosa is very chinny, very hittable. So it's not something I'm completely confident in, something I would not play in cash. But for tournaments, I think the fight as a whole, the Erosa-Peterson fight, is definitely one to look at targeting. Live dogs, Brian battled 7,100. He scored very well in his UFC debut against Gilbert Urbina. And yeah, if he wins this fight, I expect a lot of output, a lot of volume. If he can get it down to the mat, he's very good on the ground. He's going to have more output than Gore. Gore is somebody that's going to probably be the better striker. He's going to be the harder hitter. But Gore is just so low volume where I feel like Battle can definitely take advantage of that. Just be the more active fighter. I really like the cardio, the toughness, the fight IQ of Battle as well. And I think he has a really good chance of winning this fight. So 7,900, I think that's pretty solid. One of my favorite dogs on the slate. Jason Witt, 7,800. I am personally picking him to get knocked out. But if he does win, he arguably has one of the highest ceilings in terms of an underdog on the slate. If he wins, he's going to be getting takedowns in a lot of them. If he wins, he's going to be getting a lot of control time. And if he wins, it's probably a decision that scores very good at 7,800. So it's a fight where I'm going to be nearly 100% owned on the Rowe Witt fight, because I think either Rowe knocks him out at some point or Witt wins a very comfortable decision, scoring a lot of points. Nick Maximov, 7,600. If he does not get nuked in the first round, he could very well win this fight. Punahele Soriano's takedown defense has not been tested. I think it's going to get tested here. He has to watch out for the power of Soriano early. But, once Soriano does get out of that first round, his power looks to diminish a little bit. He slows down a ton. The gas tank's not there for Puna. I think Puna's probably round 1 or bust. So, yeah, if Maximov can survive that first round, start to mix in the takedowns, he's very live to win this fight, I'd say. And then Jack Hermanson, 7,400. If he wins, it's probably a very good score. Wrestling, takedowns. There are some question marks on the takedown defense of Sean Strickland. It is 82%, but it has not been tested in a very long time. I think in the past 3-4 years, he's only had to defend 1 takedown. So, he's going to get tested here. And if he is able to get the fight down to the mat, his ground and pound is really good. His submission game is very, very good. He's submitted, multiple black belts before in his career. His ground game's no joke, but it's, can he get it there or not? I personally lean towards he won't get it there, but if he does, he could be live to win the fight. And I know he was talking about in an interview how he wants to finish the fight early on. So I'll definitely have some Jack Hermanson, but I am more on the Strickland side. Punt Plays a couple here, and there's honestly you can add Malcolm Gordon. Malcolm Gordon's a good finisher. Lots of question marks about Bondar. You can add Marquez. Lots of question marks about Almeida at 9,400, and you can even add Peterson. Lots of question marks about Erosa at 9,200 with that chin. There are a bunch of pump plays you could look at this week. Carlston Harris, 7,200, probably my favorite pump play. I just think he has a much better chance to win than the line is giving him credit for. This guy's very good. He's tested. He has great fight IQ, cardio, all the good stuff. He's very powerful, dangerous anywhere the fight goes. It would not shock me if he was able to finish Shavkat at 7,200. Sam Alvey, 6,900. At the end of the day, Brendan Allen's going to come in here on short notice. Brendan Allen has a 42% takedown or striking defense. He's very hittable. Brendan Allen just got knocked out a month ago. I don't think it's impossible for Sam Alvey to go out here and knock out Brendan Allen. Brendan Allen obviously should win, but Alvey, I'd say he has a chance. All he needs to do is land one big shot. So don't hate some Sam Alvey in terms of a pump play. And fades, there's a couple fades you could throw in here. Miles Johns, 8,900 is a guy that I'm not going to be playing much of. I know he knocked out his last 2 opponents, Natividad and Dos Santos, but I think that I just don't see that happening here. And on top of that, he's not really wrestling as much as I really like to. Only 1 takedown thus far in 4 UFC fights, and in his last 3 UFC fights, 0 takedowns. And Castaneda has only been knocked out 1 time in I think 20-something fights. Yeah, 23 fights. Castaneda's been knocked out once. So Castaneda is very tough. I think Johns probably wins the decision. Probably doesn't get much takedowns. 8,100, I'm going to be fading that. And then I don't hate a fade on Hakeem, Dawodu. And other than that, I think everybody else I'm going to be playing. But yeah, those two are the kind of ones I was looking at for a fade. But yeah, that is about it. Be sure to sign up. You can either sign up on the Patreon. The Patreon's still live, or the new website, dfsbythenumbers.com. Again, access to my model with all the stats. You get access to my MMA optimizer. That's huge. My MMA articles, my premium projections, access to Discord, GPP lineup percentages, and targets and rankings. The optimizer is already updated. Projections, ownership projections, they're all loaded in there. Projections are in the model. And then the rankings and the article will be out pretty soon. So yeah, guys, that's about it. Looking forward to this week. UFC Vegas 47. Let us make some money, and we'll talk to you very soon. See you guys.